Hey sports fans, I just want to take a moment to give a big shout out to Thompson Performance. If you're looking to take your game to the next level and prepare for the demands of college athletics, Thompson Performance is the place to be. Their tailored training programs are designed to help athletes like you push past limits and unlock your full potential. You can reach Thompson Performance at their Instagram on screen or click the link down below. Welcome back to the fourth quarter finish, football fans. Today, I am glad to be joined by Carlo Aybar of Davenport University. Now, if you haven't heard about this guy, you definitely should look him up because he's got one heck of a story, and we're going to get into it right now. But he's 6'2", 285, playing D-line at Davenport, and I'm sure you're going to see him on the stat sheet soon enough because he's a beast, man. He's a beast. He's absolutely got the it factor for playing D-line. So, obviously, Carlos, super excited to have you on here, and I'm just ready to get right into it, man. How about you?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it, man.
All right. So, to start off, I just wanted to throw a little icebreaker out at you. I hear you're a pretty big Wolverines fan. So, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It looks like they put together like a really good recruiting class. Like it looks like the guys they're bringing in are good. You know, obviously the guy Bryce Underwood, the star of the class that everyone's talking about. But I saw some other guys in there that I think are going to be some really good pieces. And I played against Bryce in high school, so I know he's a very, very good talent. So I think if they can get him in the right situation and get him going, then I feel like that team, like even next year, I could see us making a really good run, like a really big run.
Yeah, so that's something I've asked every, and like I said, kind of weird coincidence that all athletes that come on here that are high level athletes are Michigan fans. Craziest thing I've ever seen, but
Makes sense.
makes sense, right? So I was going to ask you, seeing Bryce play and everything, do you think that Michigan will start him as a freshman? I know that's not really how they do things, but I think you kind of have to, right?
I mean, it's tough because you're giving them so much money. It's like nowadays, it's like the NFL with the contracts they're getting, and they're getting so much money. So it's hard when you've made that commitment to a player to be like, okay, well, we're gonna let you wait to start. But it is super hard to start in the Big Ten as a freshman, especially at that position, because with as much that goes into like a college playbook and understanding, like reading defenses and all that stuff, it's going to take him a while to really get used to that. So if he can get in there early, then that's all power to him. But I don't think there should be expectations for him to come and take the reins right off the bat.
Right. You're trying to, temper expectations. If he does start, you're not expecting a natty or anything right off the bat. I mean, obviously it'd be great if it happened, but I think that's huge. I was there in the stands for that game against Bryce, and man, he's good. He has got
He's
some
he's good.
juice. Yeah.
He's
What
got
was it?
all the intangibles.
Yeah, what was it like on the field playing against a guy of that I mean, number one overall player in the nation type player. Like,
I mean, it's cool, but like you don't really feel it when you're out there because, like, I mean, we're all human at the end of the day. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. So it's like at the time you don't really feel like he's like above you because at the same time we're all playing football. We're all 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. So it's like, yeah, it's cool that you're playing against a guy of that caliber, that he's there now, and like you get to see him on that journey. But at the same time, when we were playing him, we were like, we're trying to beat this guy. Like we think we can beat this guy.
yeah, and that first half, man, I really thought I was like, they've got a real shot at this. Like it
Oh
was
man.
incredible.
Oh man.
Incredible. I was like, oh, I've never been so excited. But yeah, obviously that's awesome. I'm super excited to see where Michigan goes and where that's gonna lead. Bryce Underwood's pretty darn special. So I'm a little
Special.
afraid for the rest of the Big Ten, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so Carlo, wanted to get right into it, digging our teeth into it. Caledonia, right? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to be from a small town like Caledonia, and what has that done so far for your career and for your personal life?
Man, it means everything to me, really. Like that place is so special, and people don't talk about it enough. Like the place is a small town in middle West Michigan, and not everybody knows about it, especially all across Michigan and all across the world. But it's such a special place. Like the people I was surrounded with ever since I got there showed me so much love because I got there in sixth grade. I got to Caledonia in sixth grade and started playing football for them and around all these such amazing people that a lot of those people that I met during those days, they're going to be friends for the rest of my life. A lot of people that I
Hmm.
played football with when I was a youth, and a lot of people that I grew up with in high school and played with, like those are going to be my friends for the rest of my life. And I have teachers there that installed like just kind of a sense of, I don't know, it's just a sense of pride in Caledonia. So I'm proud to be from Caledonia, And that's something that I like. It really resonates with me how special that place is, because I feel like there's a lot of people that they bounce around from place to place and like they never really get comfortable somewhere. And I was so blessed to be able to get comfortable in a place that I really loved and really enjoyed like being from.
Now, so, speaking of Caledonia, right? Obviously, we all have our favorite things. For me growing up in Caledonia, it was Fracano's, the downtown pizzeria. It was always such a fun hangout when I was, in high school and stuff. And so, if you had to pick one place in Caledonia, what would you say is your go-to
And like for food.
for food? Yeah, food,
Oh,
hangout, anything.
oh man, that's tough because like there's plenty of places in Caledonia, but at the same time, I feel like there's nowhere in Caledonia at the
Right,
same time.
right.
So it's like, I mean, for me, I remember like especially when I was really young, like sixth grade, seventh grade, like going out. We would do our walks after school with all your buddies, and we would go out
Mhm,
to this spot. It's actually not open anymore. It was called the Vault. It was called the Vault. It was this little
mhm.
bakery spot on the corner, and Ice Cream Express. Just like going to those two places, and like you see everybody from your school there after school, like on a Friday. And that was probably honestly some of the times I remember the most being like my favorite places going to go eat there and go chill with your buddies.
Dude, Ice Cream Express. Yeah, big shout out to Ice Cream Express. That's I think where half the Caledonia kids grow up is in
Oh yeah.
in Ice Cream Express. So
Oh,
that's awesome. Obviously, Caledonia special place, and going into that, another pretty special place. It's getting renovated now, but the Ralph. Coming from your playing days and even mine, I'm sure you remember the grass
oh
as well as the turf. So you got to see both sides of it. What was playing in the Ralph like? Like for someone that hasn't ever been on the field, what was that like for you?
well, man, it's like a movie. It's you feel like you're in a movie because it's like you're in the middle. It feels like you're in the middle of the woods, and all these people are just coming in to watch you guys play on a Friday night. It's classic small town football. Like even though we were a bigger school, it was a very small town feel at our games, and especially getting to my senior year because I never got to play on the turf. I always played on the grass. So,
Mhm.
like my senior year, I remember I think one game that really sticks out to me was we played against Rockford, and it was in the playoffs. We are not in the playoffs. It was in the regular season. We ended up losing that game, but just the amount of people that were there and the environment, like it felt like you were in a movie. Like there were so many people there. Everyone was cheering for you. Like I just felt like dang, this is what it's all about. This is why you play high school football. Like the Ralph is such a special place, and I was sad when they got rid of the grass, but I definitely understood it because we couldn't play home games in the playoffs because the field was so destroyed. So
Yep.
yeah, the Ralph is such a special place. That's a place I'll remember for the rest of my life. I'll probably always go back there when I get the chance to. That's a place I like to just sit in the parking lot and watch. I mean, just watch and remember like those days because those were some of the best days of my life.
And even, that's one thing that a lot of people talk about is former players, man. A lot of times I'll just drive into the parking lot. I'll just sit there. Like, I don't know why. It's got that attraction, that draw to it that just makes you want to be there again, whatever it takes just to be in that spot again. And yeah, coming from a player like you, getting to see everything. And I remember it was your junior year, it must have been that's when they decided to go to the turf, right? Because you guys ended up playing at Granville, I think, in a playoff game.
So yeah, it was that. But our senior year, we still played on the grass. So we played on the grass
Mhm.
for a whole nother year, and then we played our home games in the playoffs. We played, let's see, the first one at East Kentwood, and then we played a road game at Rockford. Then we played another one at East Kentwood. So yeah, they ended up doing the turf the year after I left, my
Wow.
first year in college. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, it's undergoing a lot of changes. As you probably have seen, they're rebuilding the stadium right now as we speak, and I'm super excited to see because man, those stadium bleachers got packed when you guys were playing. It was crazy. So it's super exciting to see Caledonia have all this success, obviously. So
Super.
what did it mean for you, going to the state championship? What did that mean to your team, to you? What was that vibe like?
Well, it was amazing because I mean the fact that we went to the state title was sweet and we got to play in it, but it was how close of people we were. Like we were so close to each other. Like I don't like that group of guys is like I could not talk to those guys for a year, come back and we'd be having a conversation just like we were back on the bus on the way to a game. Like those we were so close as a team, so it meant so much for us to play for each other. And that's why I think we had so much success because we were so like passionate. Like I got to do it for the guy next to me. So yeah, making it to the state title, that was everything. Like that was our goal at the beginning of the year. Like Coach Chuma, he was the guy who worked with us a lot in the offseason. He said at the beginning of the year, he's like, it's chip or bust this year. Like we got a good squad and you guys have been playing together for a long time. Like if we're gonna get it done, we gotta get it done. And I mean, we fell a little bit short, but like just getting there in general was great. And it was great for the community. It wasn't just about because it wasn't just
Mhm.
about us on the football team. Like obviously like we're the guys playing the games and stuff, but it's about everybody. Like kids should be able to look at that in a couple of years and be like, okay, yeah, I want to be like that team. So I'm going to work as hard as I can to try to like not replicate that, but just do it again and maybe take it to another level. So yeah, it meant everything to us, but it also meant everything to the community, which is awesome because you see all the things they're doing. Like everyone's bought into Caledonia football now. Like there's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Like there's young kids that ask me, I'm a youth football coach in Caledonia, and they ask me all the time, "Did you know anybody on that championship team? Did you know anybody?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's they're incredible team. They're incredible guys. Alumni wise, I love each and every one of you for what you did for the community and what you've did for Caledonia football because it's skyrocketing right now, and it a lot of it is because of you guys. And so we thank you from the community's hearts and from the youth football coaches' hearts. We thank you guys very much.
You gotta and like right back at the community too. Like because they poured so much into us too. So it goes both ways.
That's right. It's fantastic. So getting more into the football, the actual, X's and O's type stuff, because we have to talk about it, obviously.
Of
You're
course.
you're a student of the game.
Hmm.
So offensive and defensive line, what was your biggest driving factor growing up to play those two positions? I mean, everybody wants to run the rock or throw the ball, but to be a lineman takes some different mental makeup to do that, you know?
So when I started playing football, I was just like everybody else. I want to be a receiver. I want to be this, that. I want to be everything except for a lineman. Like everyone when they're younger, it's like I don't want to be a lineman. I want to be everything else. So I was just like that. And I started playing football in like third grade. So I was a youngin and I was trying to play running back and receiver and linebacker. And I'm not gonna lie, when I started playing football, I wasn't very good. Like I started out, I didn't play a ton and things like that. So it was over time because I played these positions that weren't really meant for me. And as I started getting older, bigger, stronger, which we'll talk about later, but I that is really what propelled me to be a lineman. And I feel like the thing that like really resonated with me and that I really started to love about it was you got to be nasty. You got to love to get down and dirty in the trenches, and that's something that I can really like resonate with because it's like you work so hard lifting weights and you work so hard doing that stuff. And I feel like a lineman is the perfect way to put that on display. Running through another guy's face and putting them on his butt is the greatest way to really like show that strength that you have. So I think that was a big driving force of me becoming a lineman was just getting stronger and like putting all that work in the weight room and just like developing that sense of like, oh, it's so nice to throw this guy in the ground and make this tackle.
Dude, it really like I love linemen that talk about nastiness. Like as weird as that sounds,
Mm-hmm.
like Tevin Jenkins, so he came out of Oklahoma, he played for my Chicago Bears, but his
Yeah.
if you watch his Oklahoma tape, that is some of the nastiest O-line play I've ever seen. He's driving guys into the bench like I love it. That's my favorite part of the game. I love offensive and defensive line more than any other position just because I know what it takes to, it's a different type of animal to get in the
Oh yeah.
trenches.
Because you got
So,
to, I mean, it's such a selfless position too. That's what I was going
mhm.
to say. So yeah.
Yes, selfless for sure. Yeah, you got to be willing to get down for everybody else to have success, really. I mean,
Mhm.
whether it's letting a linebacker fill through the gaps or whether it's, on the O line, blocking your assignment and letting the running back get through or keeping your quarterback clean. I mean, it truly is a position that doesn't really get enough thanks for sure. I will say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that obviously, so growing up, and even in your career now, you've got to have some kind of role model, right? So who would you like to model your game after, or who have you modeled your game after?
Yeah, like growing up, this is the easy answer that you probably hear from a lot of guys my size that play my position is you look at Aaron Donald as a guy and you're like, okay, that's the guy that I want to be because I'm a 6 foot 6'1", 6'2" D lineman that's smaller guy on the inside, strong guy, and that's the guy everyone looked towards. I mean, he was arguably, I think for sure, he was the best player in the league for probably 6, 7 years. Like the dude he was an animal. And so that's a guy I really liked. And there's some other guys too, like some deeper cuts. Like I like Geno Atkins a lot from the Bengals. Grady
Yeah,
Jarrett was a guy I like, and then
yeah.
some other guys like now, like I watch even Jalen Carter, like from the Eagles. Like
Hmm.
I watch some guys like that, and it's just like always like looking at those guys because obviously you're not going to replicate exactly what they do because you guys are different people. Like they're
Hmm.
going to do things better than you. Maybe you just do something better than them, you know. But like looking at those guys and being able to take things and be like, oh, maybe I could try that in a game or I could try that. It's super good. The people are always like, man, don't try to be exactly like somebody. No, you don't have to, but take pieces from people's games because that's how you really get better and that's how you learn.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to take, I mean, Akeem Hicks, he's one of my favorite defensive tackles of all time. His tape on he called it the forklift technique where he basically grabs the guy's elbows and just shoves them up
Mm-hmm.
into his face mask.
Yeah.
His breakdown of that was fantastic, but he learned so many different things from Khalil Mack, from, previous guy, like I think he talked
Yeah.
about Geno Atkins himself.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's never you never stop learning as a D lineman. I feel like there's always a
Ever.
new move or a new footwork or a new set that you can always figure out and help your game. So, keeping that in mind, obviously, if you model after Aaron Donald, you've got your head in the right place of where to model your game after. That guy
Oh,
was a
sure, yeah.
beast, and for a long time too. So. I hope you obviously get a ring like Aaron Donald, do the whole celebration, everything like that.
Be awesome, man.
Be perfect.
Perfect.
Moving into that, Whitney Bell, obviously Caledonia's D line coach and D coordinator. What did he have to do with your development, with the D line moves and with your overall development?
You know, I would when it comes to being a development as a football player, he was a great guy to be behind. He's the guy who did it at Ferris State at a high level of college football, and he did it at the highest level you can, which is professionally. You know, he did it in the CFL. He won a Grey Cup. He did all these like really great things, and it was such a blessing having him because he was like, especially he was a stronger guy like me when he was playing. So a lot of the things that he did, I could be like, okay, maybe I can do that too. And
Mhm.
obviously, like his development and my skills were great. He taught me a lot about technique and scheme, how to fit into a scheme, you know, like how to play the right gaps and techniques. But I think like the biggest thing, and this maybe is straying a little bit off the question, but he like the way he turns you into a man, like his
Mhm.
development in you as a man is just it's great because he's such a great human. He's a great person, and he puts so much energy and life into you. And yeah, he yells at you. I mean, that's what coaches do. They yell, and that's how they get their point across. So you got to listen to what he's saying, not how he's saying it. And if you can look beyond that, like you can really tell, like, oh man, this guy's really cares about me, and he's really trying to get me to get better. I love Coach Bell to death. Like he is a guy that I've been meaning to go to breakfast with him for a couple weeks now. Like he is a great guy, and he's a guy I love to death because obviously he developed me a ton as a player, but I'm more appreciative from how much he developed me as a man.
I was gonna say Whitney Bell, he like what you said, developed people into men. I mean, I know so many of my friends, like I said, growing up, I actually had Bell as a D-line coach as well. I didn't play D-line. Trust me, 145 does not get you on the D-line for Caledonia. So but Bell, obviously was a huge part in development of a lot of my friends, and even seeing the success you guys have now is crazy, and he's legit awesome. Love Whitney Bell. My favorite part is if you think really hard about it, I'm sure you can hear Whitney Bell yelling in the back of your head. I
Always.
can think about it myself. Like it gets really high pitched and stuff, and it's awesome. So shout out Whitney Bell. Big shout
I
out
don't know
Whitney
what,
Bell. So moving forward as well, there's a lot of external stuff that has came up in Caledonia since I left high school. And so, what external resources did you use since you were in high school to perfect your game?
oh, I used everything I could, everything I could because I'm one thing about me is that I love football probably more than anybody you could ever know. Like you could ask every person that's ever played the game of football. I don't think there's a single person that could say that they love the game as much as I do. So everything I did was committing to myself and seeing how much I could develop myself into being the best player I could be. So I mean, to start, the first guy I really got was Kyle Thompson. And
Mhm.
Kyle is my best. He's probably like my best friend. I'm not gonna lie. Like he's been my trainer for dang near 6, 7 years now.
Wow.
But he is like truly one of my best friends, and he was so important in my development as a player because getting with him, that's how I got strong. That's how I became a lineman,
Mhm.
and getting with him to do that was like so important in my development. And obviously, like you put the work in, but he did so much for me to get there. And like, I mean, Kyle's like a guy that like, man, it's like you know, if it's 11 o'clock and you're like feeling down, man, I'm going to go call Kyle because he's always going to be on the other line. He's going to be talking to you and be like, man, you're good, dude. Like, he's one of my favorite people on the planet. And I can't tell him enough how much I love him because he's so special to me because he was important to my development, but also, like I said about Coach Bell, as a man, like he helped me turn into a man. He was the driving force in that. So, yeah, he was super important. Another guy was Coach Chuma. So Coach
Hmm.
Schuma, I started training with him in high school as well. And he's the same way. Like the dude's always there for you. Like he's always got your back. And he's so everything we do there is so technical too. You know, speed's a technical thing. Like shaving just a little bit off your times is like, dang, yeah, I did that. When strength, you're trying to hit PRs every time. So it's like with him, having him as a coach, like he's so breaking stuff down. He's so good at that. And then he's the guy, he pushes you to become a man too. Like he pushes you to your limits. And that's something I really appreciated about Coach Chuma. And that's another guy, like that's a friend I have for life, you know, a trainer I have for life. And
Hmm.
that's something that's so special to me. And then, you know, obviously there's so many people that were important to my development, but another guy, and came up late because he became my coach my junior years, Max McCombs. You
Hmm.
know, he was really important to me, and he's been doing a lot for me, especially recently, because as I've gotten into college, he's done like one-on-one work with me, and he's done so much for me. Like he comes out to the field house to train me and stuff like that. So he's been a driving force, and he's a cool guy to talk to. Another guy that I'm just like, dang, this is like my friend too. And that's what's important about, I feel like, a guy that's training you and like helping you get better is that if you can be a friend with him, then like that changes your whole perspective on them because you're going to listen to them more because you can resonate with them. So yeah, all three of those guys, those are the three guys I'll bring up. Those three guys were so important in my development, and like all those guys, I can't tell them how much I appreciate them.
Yeah, and it sounds like so many other athletes share the same sentiment as you do. I mean, they have truly revolutionized Caledonia athletics in so many different ways. I mean, I've gotten the chance to meet Kyle a little bit and talk to him, and
Yeah,
he's an outstanding guy. And like I said, huge shout out to Thompson Performance and Max Effort, everybody, Chuma,
yeah,
Max, everybody is doing their part to make Caledonia a truly special athletic place, and not only that, but a good place. Like you said, developing people into their best versions of themselves, whether
yeah.
that's athletically or morally. It's just whatever they can do to help. So big shout out to them.
Big shot.
Always huge supporters on this channel of them. So keep doing what you're doing, guys. And obviously Carlo's having great success so far, with his work that he's put on field. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember one more thing really quick. I
sure,
remember
sure.
I was talking to Kyle about it the other day. It was during COVID and they were at this, or after COVID, they're at this building in between when they were switching buildings. And I used to go from my house at 7:30 when we wouldn't have school. I would wake up at 7:30 and I go walk an hour and a half from my house to the gym just so I could train with them. So
Oh my
like my commitment, obviously my commitment to my development, but him just being there and like that's how much he meant to me. Is like I want to be around this guy as much as I can. So it was like I would take those long treks, hour and a half, and then I finally got a bike eventually, and
a
so I
bike.
was able.
Okay.
But I was like the group we had back then was like it was me and a couple other guys around, like Luke Mansager, Andrew
Hmm.
Gray, Isaiah Short, Ben Norris. We had a bunch of guys back then. And we were just training hard in this little cargo box of a gym. It got really hot in the summer, really cold in the winter. One rack, and it was just those were the days that I really appreciate. Those are the days where I'm like, wow, that's what got me the most better was being in that environment because you had to bring the juice. It wasn't there for you. You didn't have all this fancy equipment. You had a couple machines, one squat rack, and so like that's really like having those people around you is just so important to becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah, that is an incredible story, by the way. Walking an hour to the gym, I mean, that takes real commitment. So I mean, obviously the bike probably helped after a while. I mean, you
Yeah, I
definitely got
did.
your cardio in before the gym, so
Yeah.
that's fantastic, dude. But branching right into that, a young Carlo, right? What would a young Carlo tell himself about becoming a Division II football player? With all the commitment that you've put in, is there anything that you would tell a younger version of yourself?
Man, like I would just tell them to keep going because it's like at times in my life, even now, like it gets hard. Like you don't there's like it's hard to wake up early. It's hard to go to practice. Even when I was little, it's hard to run laps around a field. But football is so important and it was so paramount in developing me as a man. So I tell that guy, you got to keep going. You got to trust God. You got to trust the process because everything's going to figure itself out. And
Yeah.
like for me, it was just about, like no one forced me to play football. Like my parents, they weren't like, you got to go play sports or whatever. Like it was all on me. So for me, like my motivation was like, I just love the sport. Like I just love it so much, and I want to become the best version of myself that I can. So for me, I would just tell that younger Carlo, like keep loving football, keep loving the game, keep trusting God, and do everything you can to become a better version of yourself every day. Because our days are numbered. They are. Like eventually,
Mhm.
it could be any day that you could not wake up or whatever. So you just make sure you live every day to the fullest, and you get the most out of yourself as you can every day, and build relationships with people, and keep the people that you love around you and keep them close. Don't push them away.
That is a fantastic mindset, Carlo. Coming from a guy that's, I've always been told I'm wise beyond my years, but that might be the wisest thing I've ever heard. So, I mean, that's fantastic mindset you've got there, man. And that's what drives you to success, I can tell. That's incredible mindset for a person your age, especially. I mean, not a lot of young kids like that have that mindset of doing whatever it takes, no matter the cost, to be successful. And it's incredible to hear you guys talk like that. So fantastic. Moving forward, so recruitment, right? This is what a lot of people want to know about. A lot of kids like me, I went to visit Alma once, and it was, a great experience. Love the
Hmm.
school. But like, how did your recruitment play out? What happened?
Yeah, so I remember so obviously your freshman and sophomore year, I was a freshman and JV guy, so obviously you're not getting any text then. So my junior year, I ended up starting halfway through the year and started the rest of the year on the offensive line, and did a pretty good job. I was just kind of learning. It was my first year ever playing the line. It was my junior year of high school, so I was just like working through that, and so actually I was surprised. Like after my first year, it was the winter, and this college out in Iowa, shout out to Davenport University, they offered me my first scholarship actually ever, and I was so excited. I remember, and so yeah, then went into my senior year, had a pretty good year. It was my first year ever playing defensive line too, so I played both ways, and yeah, so started to figure that out. But like at that time, a lot of schools by the end of that year have the guys that they want. So like I was to the point where I was like, dang, I only got really a couple options. And Davenport local school came on me late, and I was like, okay. And then I took a visit there, and I realized it was the place for me because there are some other schools like I got like my buddy, like I got buddies like my buddy Mason, he went to Saginaw. I got
Mhm.
buddies like buddy Luke went to Colgate, and they're all going to these schools. I'm like, man, I got to get a place. So I ended up getting Davenport. Ended up being a really good situation for me. I got really good people around me here, and so yeah, I really didn't have that many offers. Yeah, I had a couple of Division 3 roster spots, and I had the NAIA, and then I had Davenport, and I was like, Davenport's the place. It's the best opportunity for me, and I mean it's local, so I get to be around my family, which I've taken into, which I've really been appreciative of.
That's a huge part for so many athletes, is the family aspect of things. And to be approximately, I don't know, 8 minutes away from, the campus to the high school, you can't get any closer to that. And to be a Division II college football team,
Yeah,
that's incredible.
that's awesome.
It's got to be just awesome having your family as a support right there whenever you need them.
Mhm.
Like I said, a lot of people talk about, hey, I want to stay local. I had offers to go to places out of state, stuff like that. And to stay local but close to family was a big motivation factor, which is just great to hear.
Yeah,
It's great
sure.
to hear that your family can always be there to support you, and you can always be there to support your family.
Yeah.
Uh, so obviously, what is the atmosphere like at Davenport? Give us the inside, the workout room, the field. What is the vibe,
Well, I ever since I've been there, I have some of the best coaches I think you could have at a Division 2 program. Like we've been through a couple of defensive line coaches just came and went. That's kind of like the nature of college football. It's a lot of turnover, but I've had the same D coordinator and we've had the same head coach, linebackers coach, and like I think like as a coaching staff, I've been so blessed because I've had those guys and they're bringing the juice. They yell at you, they get you ready to go. So yeah, from that perspective, like having coaches like that, it's been awesome. I've been super blessed. And then in the weight room, like guys are bringing the energy, especially this year. Like you get more comfortable around the team and the team gets around each other more. Like, like the energy gets brought in the weight room, especially when dudes are left in heavy weights because you need that. It's a tough January, February is a tough time of year. It's like you're just grinding, lifting weights. Like there's a lot. It's like almost like your tunnel vision the whole time because you have to be. So like
right?
bringing the energy has definitely helped us a ton, especially as a program, like just bringing energy in the weight room, and then and obviously on the field. Like this was my first time playing this last year, like actually being able to play on the field because I was a redshirt my first year. And yeah, so the fans here, I mean, so it's a smaller crowd. I'm not gonna lie, it's not a ton of people, but the fans that are here, they cheer loud for us, and we're really appreciative of that because it's always nice when you can get at least even a sliver of home field advantage because it just helps you out. So yeah, the atmosphere it's good and it's only getting better from here, which is great.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I was gonna say Davenport is rising up very, very fast. I hear a lot more every year about them. And you guys play GVSU and a lot of the bigger schools in the area. So I mean, you're playing against some real good competition. I mean, GVSU for the longest time was, one of the best teams in the area, and then now it's Ferris. Ferris is really coming on, and Saginaw Valley State with Mason. I'm sure that's definitely on the
Yeah,
radar for Carlo.
yeah. Oh, it's
Uh,
always on the radar. I remember this year I got him for a half a sack. He will never admit it was a half a sack, but I got him for
never.
a half a sack, and it was all I needed for that game.
We'll tally
couldn't
it.
come
We'll
out,
tally it.
yeah, we couldn't come out with the win though, which is the most important stat. But we
Right,
got him.
right.
Got him.
Yeah, you got him. You got him next time. I believe. I think there's going to be some good rivalry. Brotherly rivalry there between you and Mason. So pretty
Sure,
excited
yeah.
to see how that plays out. Have to catch a game, and so at the end of the day, right? You're going into year 3 now at Davenport.
Mhm.
What are some personal goals you have for yourself? As a person or even as a player.
Yeah, so I'll start with as a player. As a player, like so I came in with like a plan because it's always good when you have plans and you have like benchmarks because even if you miss them, at least they're there. So you have something to strive for. So like my first year I knew I was probably gonna redshirt. I mean, that's just how it is. A lot of first year guys redshirt. And then my second year, actually I'm on pace right now because my second year was just get in the mix, get to play, get the feel of it. And I played quite a bit. I was a set 2 for most of the year, so I rotated in a lot. And then, so this next year, my goal was to be a starter. I want to start, and I think I'm on pace to do that. I just got to make sure I have a good spring ball and work into the fall, and just make sure I'm becoming a better leader. And then I want to be. I mean, eventually, my goal is to win a national championship. Obviously, GLIAC championship, national championship, and I
Hmm.
want to be. I want to be an All American too. Like I want to take this thing as far as I can. Like my dream is to be an NFL player. I'm not gonna be shy about that. Like I want to play at the highest level that you can. So yeah, I want to do as much as I can. I want to leave my stamp on Davenport. I want us to be the first national championship team, GLIAC championship team to come through here. And from a personal standpoint, like my biggest goal right now is I'm trying to get as close as I can with God, because that's something that's super important to me. I've been trying to go to church as much as I can, trying to get in the Word, the Bible, and trying to read that as much as possible. So that's my biggest personal goal.
Hmm.
And it's just I'm just trying to be the best I can be, like as a
Hmm.
man, because like one day I'm gonna be a father, one day I'm gonna be all these things, and I want to make sure I'm the best I can be right now to set myself up for the future as well. So yeah, that's the main thing for me is just be a better man, and yeah, just get closer to God. Those are the two things that I'm really focusing on right now.
That is absolutely fantastic, Carlo. And we've had, now multiple athletes come on and talk about their faith, and I love it. I think that it's a huge driving factor for a lot of athletes, off the field. It really helps. It really helps get you right. And obviously the Lord is great. And I encourage people to find him whenever they can. But obviously it sounds like you've got your head on right, doing everything you can to be an NFL player. And I'm excited to announce fourth quarter is going to the scouting combine, and I would love to see you there one day. I mean, it would be awesome to see a Caledonia kid go to the combine. It's such a special event, and I really think one of you guys is going to do it. And with your
Hmm.
mindset, Carlo, it very well could be you.
For sure, yeah.
Just keep that mentality, that dog mentality that I can be anywhere I want to be as long as I've got my mind to it. That's what's
Hmm.
going to take you far.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
of course, man. Of course. Really, that's really all I got for you. Is there anything, NFL wise you want to talk about? I mean, I see that all the head coaching positions are filled now, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well,
But
I'm assuming you caught the Super Bowl. You seem like a big football guy, so yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
That was
No,
a huge surprise to me. I'm not gonna lie, it was a huge surprise.
it was really crazy to see. I thought that the Chiefs would win because of refs. No, but yeah, I mean the Eagles walked away with it, but we see just how important what we're talking about here is
Hmm?
offensive and defensive line. I mean, I
Dominated.
I don't think they let up a sack on Hurts that I can remember. Maybe one or two, but I mean, Mahomes was getting just crunched all game by their D line, and it was dominant.
Yeah, it
And
was dominant.
I mean, the one guy, this is coming from a Bears fan, so I know, a lot of people don't like to hear it, but Vic Fangio is running the Philadelphia Eagles defense, and that guy is the best defensive coordinator probably ever. I
As good as
truly
it gets.
I mean, 2018 Bears dominated with them. The 49ers in 2012 dominated with them. I mean, you go out throughout this guy's career, the Denver Broncos during when he was their head coach had a really good defense. Like the dude just knows how to handle defensive line play and knows what he's looking for. And you saw it in that game. It's
Yeah,
he's got the best 3-4 system out there. He's the best. I love Vic Fangio. I love that
yeah.
guy.
No, I can't blame you. I mean, he's as good as it gets, and it's like it was cool seeing a guy like Jalen Hurts get out there and be able to win one because he's a dude he's such a well spoken guy and he's a man of faith. And he
Yes.
it was cool seeing him because I remember watching that national championship when Tua came in and replaced him, and he had to
Yep.
take the back seat. And he told I've heard the story before. He was talking to Nick Saban after that year, and he was like, I'm going to stay for another year because I want to graduate. And Nick told him all these things he needs to work on and then helped him get in the portal and choose the right school when it was time. And, then Jalen Hurts went and he did his thing at Oklahoma. So it was really cool seeing that come full circle for him because that's a guy who always bet on himself and never bet on, like, always bet on himself even when people didn't believe in him. And it's just really cool to see a guy like that make it because, I mean, it's so important to be your biggest fan. And you can see that
Yes.
with him. And he got to figure it out, man. He figured it out.
He figured it out. He definitely dominated that. I mean, he outplayed Pat Mahomes, and that's kind of the
Mhm.
standard. It's like you got to outplay that dude,
Yeah.
and that's the first part. And so another guy I like to bring up is you probably know him, Mekhi Becton.
Hmm.
Um, I feel bad for that guy because he went to the Jets. He had a rough go of it with injuries, and they said his weight was too much, all that stuff. And the dude came in at guard for the Eagles this past year and dominated. I mean, truthfully, he played
Oh,
fantastic ball, and I'm so happy for a guy like that. I mean, he's got such an incredible story too.
mhm.
It's really cool to see the big guys have success like that. I
So
love it,
cool. So
love it.
sweet.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Carlo. I really appreciate you giving me your time, and I can't wait to get this out to people. It's you got a great story, my man, and I can't wait to talk more about after spring ball. How's your season going? I'd love to have you on again. So
That'd be
I hope you
awesome. Yeah.
do. But well, thank you guys for watching so much. Really appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to the Fourth Quarter Finish podcast. Please like and subscribe. To support the athletes that are featured, check out their personal links down below. Fourth Quarter Finish, hard-hitting takes.